Welcome to Sober Strength Podcast. This week, the 60-day fat loss blueprint. That's right, my own personal fitness, nutrition, lifestyle, and supplementation tips to lose the fat you need for the summer. Let's go. All right, everybody, like I said, welcome to the show, the Sober Strength Podcast, powered by Or Health. It is, for me, the week of St. Patrick's Day. And what I typically do every year, not that I'm not always trying to focus on fitness, but after St. Patrick's Day, that is my, pun intended, green light to lean in to fat loss to Memorial Day. So what I thought I would do is share with you my exact tried and true method to lose any fat so I can look good and feel good by the summertime. And I know fat loss is a big goal for a lot of people. When you choose to kind of focus on that is up to you. As I said, I don't know about you guys, but if you celebrate St. Patty's Day, I pounded corned beef and cabbage and potatoes, soda bread, and all the things. I love you, Susie Q, my mother-in-law. She makes an amazing St. Patty's Day dinner. But all that to say, I like to psychologically have seasons throughout the year when I can focus on different things. And for me, right after St. Patty's Day, it's go. Start focusing on cardio, really dial in my nutrition, and just be more disciplined all around. It's great to be healthy all year round, but I just think emotionally trying to be absolutely regimented, it's just going to wear on you. So what I typically do late spring throughout the summer, focus on having more of a lean physique. And I've really kind of figured out how to do that. And then when I get into fall and winter, I focus on strength training so that when I go back into the spring season, I can use some of that strength, improve my hypertrophy and just kind of maintain while I lean out. So what we're going to focus on is my own tried and true fitness, nutrition, supplementation, and lifestyle tips and hacks to get lean for the summer. So let's go. And we're not going to do it in that order. First, we're going to start with the one that I think is the most important. These days, I think most people do recognize that nutrition, right? Abs are made in the kitchen. Nutrition is the fundamental part of leaning out and losing fat. As a matter of fact, I would argue, and I've seen this in myself, I can keep the same exact fitness routine throughout the year. I could do this and then change my nutrition cyclically as I'm focusing on the same fitness program, same amount of cardio, same amount of strength training, and I can make my body adapt, gain weight, lose weight with my nutrition. So it starts with nutrition and it starts in the kitchen, in which the hardest part is if you think about your fitness as an investment, a time investment every week for a goal with an ROI, unfortunately, the fitness is a smaller time investment, right? Like most of us, let's be real, if we're not like a college student with no kids and no spouse, most of us don't have 3.5 hours a day to work out, right? We have probably 45 minutes, 60 minutes. If nutrition is the most important, that's the one where you have to be dialed in around the clock. It's decisions that you make at every meal, every time you're hungry, especially at night. And we'll get into that. So let's start with nutrition. And I'm not going to overwhelm you. I'm going to stay high level with a little bit of details. But again, this is exactly what I do. I didn't even have to write a script or take notes for this episode. So the first thing, if you're focusing on fat loss, if I'm focusing on fat loss, I need to get more dialed in on my calorie deficit. If you're listening to this and you have the goal of fat loss and you don't know how many calories per day you're eating, or at least about, bad news for you, you need to figure that out. Now, I'm not saying or advocating for counting every calorie or getting a MyFitnessPal or some app and getting like super stressed out about everything you eat, but we have to establish a baseline. So scroll down in the episode notes of this episode, and I'm going to link to an actual calorie calculator that is going to tell you what you should eat. Because what we want to create is a calorie deficit. You need to be, if you're going to lose weight, specifically fat, you need to be burning more calories every day than you are consuming. So you got to do two things. One, you got to figure out how much you've been eating. Two, you got to figure out what you should eat, and the calorie calculator in this episode will help you do that. It'll ask you your age, height, weight, general activity, like how many times do you work out, what kind of job do you have, etc. And it'll give you a calorie goal. And then you need to set a daily nutrition goal that is a deficit, right? Less calories than that, right? So if you should be eating, let's just say 3,000 calories per day to maintain your weight, and you want to lose weight, we want to have you eating about 500 calories less than that maintenance goal. I can get into the weeds on that, but that is, I would say, number one, ensuring you have a calorie deficit. So what I would do, and what I do, is I take that number. So for me, it's about 2,800 calories a day. I don't know what that does for you, if that, you're holy crap, or, oh, that's nothing. But for me, 2,800 calories, assuming I maintain a similar fitness plan, can get me some of the way there to lose some weight, right? And then I take that 2,800 and I divide it by how many meals I'm having. Now, for me, I like to have 4 meals a day. However many meals you feel like eating, fat loss can happen with that amount of meals. If it's inconvenient for you because you're super busy and you're all over the place and you're commuting and you don't have time to sit down and scarf something 6 times, then just don't do it and don't think twice about it, right? So using me as an example, 2,800 calories, right? You want to divide that by 4. That's how many calories you should have in each meal. And now that leads us right into the next part, which is carb timing. Okay, we have 3 macronutrients. If you don't know, now you know: fats, carbs, and protein. Every calorie that you eat contains at least one of, sometimes 3 of those macronutrients. I'm not going to get into for you of your daily calories, what percentage should each calorie come from, or how many percentage fats and proteins and carbs and whatnot. There's so many different thoughts on this. If you're going to do, let's just say, more of a plant-based diet, a lot of those calories aren't going to come from proteins, right? If you're going to do something like a carnivore diet and you're going to focus on red meat, you're going to have a ton of protein, ton of fats, probably not a lot of carbs, right? We're not going to get into that. I'll just tell you what I do. I prefer a nutritional lifestyle very close to a Mediterranean lifestyle. Here's why. Fish is a primary recommended source of protein. You get a lot of omega-3s. Assuming you have good source of fish, that's great. Mediterranean has a lot of legumes, beans, nuts, can do, and I don't recommend a lot of this, but you can do some oils, right? Olive oils, lots of vegetables, colorful diet, right? It's just really good for your overall health. It's not just macronutrients, it's also micronutrients. So I like to kind of focus near the Mediterranean, but I do eat chicken and I do eat, eggs and some Greek yogurt and stuff. But Mediterranean is a good place to start. And what you want to do is take those 4 meals, and in each meal, try to have a decent amount of all of those macronutrients. Carbohydrates in particular, what I like to do is I focus my carbohydrates around my activity level. I'm going to call that carb timing. So let's say I decide that 1/3 of my calories in a day are going to come from fats, 1/3 are going to come from protein, and 1/3 are going to come from carbs, right? Not that far off from what I actually do. What I will do is I will take the carbohydrates and try to consume most of them. And again, we don't have to get granular. Most of them around my activity for the day, meaning my workout for the day. Let's just say my goal is 3,000 calories and I'm going to work out first thing in the morning, fasted, which is what I recommend if you can do it. If I'm going to do 1/3 of my calories with each macro, that'd be 1,000 calories from carbs, 1,000 from fats, and 1,000 from protein. If I'm going to work out in the morning, what I will do is I will take the first 500 of those 1,000 calories from carbs, and I will put them as close to that workout as I can. So I'm going to get a little granular on you here. Each gram of carbohydrate is 4 calories. I'll say that again. Each gram of carbohydrate is 4 calories. My daily goal, again, 1/3 of 3,000 is 1,000 carbohydrates. To figure out how many carbs I need to eat that day, you would take 1,000 and you would divide that by 4 calories per carb. That equals 250 grams of carbs in a day if my goal was 1,000 calories from carbs. So that's 250 grams of carbs that I'm shooting for, and I'm working out in the morning. That first meal, I would have 100 grams. The next meal, you bring it down, say 75. The next one, 50. I'm at 225 already, and I try to phase out my carbs by the end of the day. Forget everything I said. It's overwhelming. I've been doing it for the years. And by the way, 3,000 calories is a lot of calories for most people. So you do not have to have that many grams of carbs a day. My point is this. First, dial in your calories. Figure out what you should eat to lose. Again, that's 500 calories less than your daily maintenance goal. And there's a calculator to figure that out. And then your next step is figure out how many of those calories you're going to get from each of the macros. And again, that's carbs, fats, and proteins. I hope you're still with me. And then if you can, take your carbohydrates and try to consume them around your workout. Now, if you work out later in the day, that could be before. If you work out in the morning, it could all be after. But try to do that. Use your carbs almost as like a fuel and a recovery from your workout, while keeping your fats and proteins exactly identical across all the meals, however many you have that day. But just keep your fats and your carbs even throughout the day. Fluctuate your carbs based on when you work out. That's called carb timing. Why does that help? I found that can help me burn fat later in the day and just in general, right? You want to look at carbs as like the glycogen. You're using it to fuel your workout, and then in the first meal or two, recover from the workout. But afterwards, if you can have less glycogen in your blood, drain that out, and then you're working off of fats, lipids in the blood. I'm going to pull up because I can go down a rabbit hole as well, but focus on those two things, calories overall and carb timing if you can. Hey, it's Jesse, and if you've been following this show, then you know I've had my fair share of struggles with alcohol over the years. You also know that I built a pretty solid toolkit to help maintain a healthy relationship with alcohol. Things like fitness, mindfulness, accountability groups, and technology. All great, all helpful, but there's one tool I've recently found that blew my mind, and I can't believe it took me so long to discover it. It's called naltrexone, an FDA-approved, science-backed, and affordable medication that helps reduce cravings and control drinking. The first time I took it, I'll never forget, I was skeptical and not completely buying into the idea that a medication can help me with drinking. But just after a few days, I could not believe how effective it was in eliminating all of my cravings for alcohol. It needs to be more better known. And that is where Or Health comes in. And I'm honored to have them as a sponsor of the show. You can have doctor-prescribed naltrexone shipped discreetly and directly to your door. No pharmacies, no doctor's offices, just the help you need. It's online, it's private, and it's judgment-free. And most importantly, it works. As of today, over 35,000 Or members have been treated, and 76% of respondents report drinking less in just 2 short weeks. So here's how to get started. Text STRENGTH to 710-710. That's STRENGTH to 710-710. You'll take a quick, discreet survey, and they'll guide you through the entire process of trying naltrexone for the first time. It's easy, straightforward, and honestly, might be the best move you make for yourself today. So if you're ready to take a massive step forward in controlling your alcohol intake, text STRENGTH to 710-710 and let Or Health help you redefine your relationship with alcohol. And just on the nutrition side, if I can throw in maybe one other thing, hydrate, drink water, stay away from sugars, make sure that you're not drinking your calories, you're eating them. Try to use whole foods. We're going to talk about supplements in a second. Yeah, definitely hydrate as much as you can. So let's go into the next one. And by the way, I just want to start with this. I'm going to take my actual training program, my physical training program, and I'm going to create it on a Google Sheet, maybe Excel document. I literally haven't done it yet, but I'm going to make this my exact training, and I'm going to share it. I'll share it in the episode description. I'll share it on my Instagram. If you find me there, I'm going to ask you to put in your email to access it. Just want to make sure not the entire world isn't getting it. And that'll also sign you up for our newsletter where you can get weekly motivation, whether it's around, addiction, mental health, physical health, whatnot. But if you want to actually access my training program in an Excel type document and download it to your desktop, do what you want with it, I'm going to give you that for free just for being a listener of the Sober Strength podcast. So let's get into the training, right? I mentioned earlier that I feel as though I can train the same year round and manipulate my physique, if you will, by changing my nutrition, but you got to have that good training program. So I want to give you my training program and also explain what I'll do to kind of tweak it to really lean into fat loss. So let's break it up into 2 different areas. Strength training. lifting to improve your strength, to grow muscle fibers, to get stronger. So strength training, I'll call that one part of it. Cardio training or cardiovascular training would be the other one. Let's start with the training program. I am a COO of a nonprofit health clinic. I am the host of this show. I have 3 young children. I am a spouse. I lead a life group with my church. I can go on and on and on and on and on. The point is, I don't have a lot of time without neglecting any of those responsibilities to train, okay? So the program I'm going to lay out for you works for me as a busy whatever the heck you want to call me. That said, you're going to hear all different things and it can be overwhelming. How much should you strength train every single week? Let me give you the answer, okay? 4. You can get away with 3. 4. You can strength train 4 times a week, year round, and get phenomenal results if you train right. And I'm going to give you my exact training program that I do. Okay. I'm not going to cover every single option under the sun. I'm just going to give you mine because I'm telling you it works. Okay. So 4 days of strength training a week. Here's what I do. Mondays, I do an upper body strength day. Every muscle in my upper body gets trained. Tuesday, I do a lower body day. And I didn't say strength. I'm saying a lower body day. On the upper body day, I'm focusing on strength training. Now, that doesn't mean powerlifting, and that doesn't mean competition strength training. I'm just cueing you, and I cue myself to say, I'm going to focus on lifting heavier weights for lower reps. What does that mean? 6 to 8, sometimes up to 10. But I have a day dedicated for my upper body for strength. That's on Monday. Tuesday, I do lower body. And it's a mixture of hypertrophy, meaning a little bit moderate reps. So in that 8 to 12, sometimes 14, and also strength. And I'm training my entire lower body, right? What is my upper body? It's my chest, it's my shoulders, it's my biceps, it's my arms, right? My core a little bit. That's a different topic. But basically every single muscle, every mover up top, lower, it's my glutes, my hamstrings, my quads, my calves, everything in the lower section, okay? And then, and I'm not talking about cardio yet, Thursday, I come back to upper body and I do upper body pushing motions, hypertrophy. So those are all moderate to a little bit higher rep ranges, but that first hypertrophy day is just pushing upper body. So specifically focusing on any movement where you're pushing resistance away from you. It could be a push-up off the floor, it could be a bench press, overhead press, but primarily it's triceps, chest, some delts, right? Some shoulders, things like that, forearms maybe. And then on Friday, it's upper body pulling hypertrophy. All right. Now you don't have to remember all of this. I'm going to link to the exact workout for you. So I work day 1 and day 2. Wednesday is a cardio day. And then Thursday and Friday is strength training. And then Saturday is a dedicated hypertrophy day as well. So 4 days a week, I do 2 on, 1 off, 2 on. And again, upper body strength, lower, rest, upper body pushing hypertrophy, and then the last day is upper body pulling hypertrophy. Those are my 4 strength training days. Now let's talk about cardio. On the cardio side of things, here's the bottom line. If you're working out 4 times a week with strength training, that's already a commitment on your part. So with cardio, I like to have both dedicated cardio days, but I also will tack them onto my strength training days. But here's the overarching goal that you should shoot for. 90 minutes minimum of zone 2 cardio, steady state cardio. That's a continuous movement without fluctuations. Zone 2 speaks to heart rates. There are 5 zones when it comes to heart rates, and there's different levels of intensity that it takes to get your heart into those zones. Zone 2 is basically, you could do something called a talk test. It's a light jog. If you're on an elliptical, it's a moderate elliptical. It's anything that you're doing continuously, but you're able to talk without taking breaks into and in between your sentences. Okay, that's called a talk test. Look it up, zone 2. But essentially, on a scale of 1 to 10, if you're talking about rate of perceived exertion, you want to be working at like a 4 or a 5 in difficulty and hold it there. Your heart rate, depending on who you are. Now, for me, I believe I get out of zone 2 when I surpass, I want to say 142, something around there, 139. But I wear my smartwatch. I look at it. I know what zone 2 is. If you have a smartwatch, you can figure it out that way. You can do it a whole bunch of different ways. But what I do is I get to that point where my heart is right in zone 2. and I just hold it there. So for me, what that looks like is I love walking on a treadmill on an incline. I set it at 10% miles per hour, 3.8, and I just go. I love that. I do it first thing in the morning, and I do it on Monday, on Wednesday, and on Friday. So going back to my overall fitness routine, strength training 4 days a week, cardio-wise, you want to pick times that work for you and just make sure you're getting 90 minutes, 3 different sessions, at least 90 minutes of zone 2 cardio a week. I love doing it on a fasted stomach in the morning, okay? You can do it one of two ways. You can just wake up in the morning and do that, right? And maybe that's your Wednesday training. Or if you have time, you could do your actual strength training workout and then tack on the 30 minutes afterwards. Because by the time you're doing your cardio, you've used a lot of the glycogen in your system and you're going to burn more fat when you do it. But again, cardio-wise, make sure you're getting 90 minutes a week of zone 2. And then the other, and this is huge for fat loss and the times I've been the most shredded in my life, it's always been when I focus on HIIT. HIIT is hard. This is zone 5, right? That's the other heart rate. It's near maximal. If you can get your heart to near maximal heart rate, and that's zone 5, twice a week, and you don't have to do it for 10 minutes or 5 minutes. If you can just get your heart there twice a week through HIIT training, that's going to incinerate fat on your body. How do you do that? There's different ways, but my favorite is sprints because we're here to talk about what I do. I do twice a week, I do HIIT training. The first time that I do it, I actually do it on Thursday. Again, that's my upper body push hypertrophy day. I'll either do burpees for 10 minutes, and that could be 12 burpees and then rest, 12 burpees and then rest. And the way I do it is in 10 minutes, I'll start a timer. I'll do 12 burpees, which usually takes me, say, 32 seconds. And then I'll rest until the minute mark. That's called an EMOM, every minute on the minute. As soon as that minute hits, I'll do 12 burpees again, which takes about 30 to 32 seconds. And then I'll rest until the 2-minute mark. That's called like a 1-for-1 work to rest ratio, all out for 30 seconds and then rest for the equal amount. But the point is to make sure you're pushing yourself to get your heart rate up. So in that instance, by the time 10 minutes hits, I am gassed. My heart rate's jacked. And I'm done, right? So I'll work out for, say, it takes 50 minutes. I'll do 10 minutes of that EMOM. It could be burpees. It could be a rower. It could be a skier. It could be box jumps. I mean, it could be anything that feels maximal effort and just cycle it. Work, rest, right? So that's how I do it. So the first time that I do it, because I want to do it twice a week, is on that Thursday. The next time that I do it is on Saturday. Now, if you're paying attention, again, on my day, by Friday, I'm done with strength training. Saturday for me is a dedicated HIIT day. Now I will stretch, I'll do some core, but I will lean into HIIT on that day. And that's my real tough one. And I love sprints. Sprints are amazing. Dr. Andrew Huberman talks about this. I've heard it all over, but if you do all out sprints, especially on a hill, you are activating muscle fibers in your quads and your glutes and your hamstrings that scientists believe you can activate them in a similar way from hypertrophy training, meaning doing sprints is almost like lifting weights with your legs. I love it for that reason, but I love it is I've tried assault bikes, I've tried mixed martial arts, I've done everything in terms of HIIT style training. Nothing gets my heart rate up like sprints. And I love that. And I find also, and I don't need science to back this up, it's just anecdotally for me, I find that when I'm doing sprints, I feel nimble, I feel athletic, my body feels younger. So here's what I do. I look forward to it. I run 5 minutes after a nice stretch, static stretching, which means long holds. I run 5 minutes warm up. I like to see my heart get around zone 2. Again, for me, right around that 138, 140 mark. And then I'll just rest for about a minute after a 5-minute warm up jog. And I've been doing this for years and nothing burns fat more than this for me. I'll do 10 reps, I'll call it, of the same thing, which is 30 seconds all out sprint. Now I do it on a flat surface. If you got a hill near you, go for it. 30-second all out. And then I rest for a minute. That's a 1-to-2 work to rest ratio. 30-second sprint, rest for a minute. Do it 10 times. Takes 15 minutes. Your heart rate will get up. You'll feel amazing. Endorphins will be released. You'll get done and you'll think to yourself, you know what? It's Saturday. I busted my ass today. I feel good. And then you can eat something good for dinner and just feel like a king. So sprints is the way I do it. And again, I do my HIIT on Thursdays and Saturdays. Look, for some reason, when it comes to mental health and recovery from alcohol misuse, people don't talk about supplements enough. When I decided to step away from alcohol and rebuild my health, I quickly learned that nutrition and supplementation weren't just optional, they're essential. That's why I choose Momentous supplements. Look, for me, the goal has always been about health span, living better for longer. And when it comes to supplements for high performers, nobody does it like Momentous. Momentous invests heavily in NSF certification, meaning every batch of their products is tested for heavy metals, harmful additives, and label claim accuracy. You got to know what you're putting in your body. And that's why Momentous is trusted by all 32 professional NFL teams and D1 collegiate sports team dietitians across the country. And look, Momentous doesn't offer every supplement under the sun. Other brands can do that just fine. Instead, Momentous nails the basics with bone-crushing consistency to help you build the perfect and intentional routine for you. And when we talk about basics, what are we talking about? What do I take? I take their protein and their creatine. Momentous protein is best in class for muscle repair and growth, while their CreaPure creatine, the purest form of creatine monohydrate, supports both physical strength and cognitive performance. These are foundational supplements that I continue to use to this day in my health journey for physical strength, mental fitness, and emotional resilience. So whether you're taking your first step or your next step in your fitness journey, these supplements are the building blocks of living better longer. Go to livemomentous.com and try it today at 20% off with code STRENGTH. That's livemomentous.com. 20% off with code STRENGTH and start living on purpose today. So in summary, training-wise, strength training 4 days a week. Don't get caught up if whether it's morning, afternoon, night. There's so much stupid debate out there about, optimal hormone levels. Just forget it, guys. Life is hard. We don't have a lot of time. Just train. That's all that matters. 4 days a week strength training. Cardio, you want to get 90 minutes of zone 2 every single week, as well as 2 HIIT sessions. You focus on those things and you lift smart, follow the program that I'll link to, and you're going to see results. Even if you're starting from a place where you haven't been strength training, what I just laid out for you, assuming you ease into it, is an amazing fitness program. So we talked about nutrition. We talked about fitness. Next up, let's go with lifestyle. Surprise, sleep matters. Maybe also a surprise, 7, 8, 9 hours. Who cares? Just don't get less than 7 hours if you could do that. It is true, by the way, that not all of us need the same amount of sleep. So the 8-hour thing, throw it out the window. If you feel great on 7, great. Get up, get after the world, go for it, feel good about it, don't look back, right? Some people need more sleep. I don't know if she'll listen to this. My wife needs more sleep. She just does. I've tried to encourage her to get up early and whatnot. It's just not her thing, right? She genetically needs more sleep than I do. I'm the type that can get up 6.5 hours, 6 hours and just go. It'll catch up to you eventually, but try to get 7 hours of sleep. A word on that. Sleep hygiene. Get off your stupid blue screen, your stupid phone, far away from the time you're going to put your head on a pillow. Make sure if you can have a cooler room. Science says that we tend to have deeper sleep and more REM sleep and longer bouts of sleep, less restlessness if we have cooler environments and darker environments. And try to go to bed at the same time every day. Our circadian rhythm is a powerful thing. And if we can train our body to anticipate sleep, we'll fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer. Okay, so focus on those things for sleep. We talked about hydration, stress management. Try to limit your technology, put boundaries on that. Swiping and scrolling Instagram and Amazon, terrible for us, right? Stress levels, cortisol, all those things. Cortisol, if we're stressed, it's really hard to get our body to do what we want to do physically. Burn fat, testosterone is important, right? Hormones are important if you're a female. So make sure we're not doing things that stress us out. And also, if you can, daily walks, get outside, get sunlight, and just try to limit technology. Focus on those things so that we're creating an environment in our body that is going to support our physical fitness goals. Okay, so just focus on stress management. Alcohol, you're listening to the Sober Strength Podcast. We don't preach here that you can't drink. We just preach for everyone to be mindful and be better and do better. A lot of us are abstinent, some of us aren't. If you don't know, I will tell you, alcohol crushes your body, crushes your metabolism, your mental health, your emotional health. If it's 60 days, this is the 60-day fat loss blueprint, go 60 days without drinking. In my experience, that is the lever, the most powerful lever you can pull. Not only will removing alcohol help you be disciplined, because consistency and showing up for yourself in the decisions you make when you eat and showing up in the gym and committing to yourself, alcohol kills those things. When you remove alcohol, you're going to be much more likely to stick to your goals. But it's a devastator of a fitness goal. Okay, let's just put it that way. Try not to drink for 60 days and just watch what happens. Okay, and if you can't do that, maybe just drink moderately and set goals. Just have a goal, have a plan, and follow it. And then I think a good one for lifestyle is maybe accountability. I love to, and as a matter of fact, that's funny. I'm looking at a clock right now. In an hour, I've got 4 beasts coming over my house. We're going to do a group workout. Part of that's just fun and exciting, and you push yourself. But the other is, man, it's accountability. So maybe try to have some workout dates with friends, or set a time on Saturday mornings to go for runs. If you got a spouse, partner, do something together, but just let them know that you're focusing on fat loss, and let them ask you questions to hold you accountable, because that can make a huge difference. And in the last section, supplements, right? So on supplements, I look at them as they fill in the holes. I mean, they can give you an edge in some instances, but look at supplements as a way to kind of fill in the blanks. Don't rely on them. Don't think that you're going to take a miracle supplement, but I thought I would just share the supplements that I personally use, right? Because this is a big topic. And shout out to actually the show sponsor, Momentous Supplements. So the first one, protein powder. Make sure you go to a supplement company that's going to have clean, ethically sourced supplements. You got to know that what you're putting in your body is safe, but protein's huge. If you're busy like me, a lot of times it's hard to get all of the protein that you need. I recommend about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight if you're strength training and doing cardio. Again, I'll say that 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So for me, right now I weigh 192. My goal is 185. I'm going to eat for 192. So I have 192 grams of protein a day. It's hard to get that from food, like whole food. So it's great to have a supplement ready. Whey protein is the way to go, right? Go with whey protein, get it from a good company. Next one, creatine monohydrate. Take it year round. Don't cycle it. It's amazing. It's a nootropic. It means it's great for your cognitive function, but it also helps with strength gains. It's the most tried and true meat and potatoes, reliable, safe, efficient, and effective supplement that I've ever heard of. I've been taking it my whole life, basically, since I started lifting. Creatine monohydrate. Get it from a good company. Don't overpay for it. Don't get something with flavor. Don't get some stupid, artificially sweetened stuff, which could have long-term problems for your health. Just get a basic, odorless, tasteless creatine monohydrate. I can't recommend it anymore. I love pre-workouts. This is an opinion thing. I get a pre-workout, try to have it low calorie. I love a pre-workout that has some other things in it that I'm looking for. So BCAAs, branched chain amino acids, are awesome, especially if you work out fasted. There's some debate around that, but I find that I can have an intense workout on an empty stomach if I have BCAAs and a pre-workout that has some caffeine in it. And then also there's great pre-workouts that have electrolytes in it, right? Like magnesium, things like that. So if you can find a pre-workout that's low to no calories, electrolytes and BCAAs, good to go. Love to have a pre-workout just to give me that extra kind of amp going into a workout. Caffeine for me, that's probably, I could do a podcast about my caffeine addiction. That's the next thing that's got to go. But if you can have caffeine in moderation, great supplement. It can help enhance your physical fitness, helps you with cognitive function. Of course, you can get addicted to it, so you have to be careful. But I would consider caffeine a supplement and one that I would recommend. And then lastly, I take fish oil. Fish oil and omega-3s. You can get omega-3s from your diet. I mentioned earlier salmon and fish and things like that. But if you don't know or you don't think you're getting enough fish oil, get a good fish oil. It supports recovery and reduces inflammation. So I threw a lot at you. 60-day fat loss blueprint, right? For me, St. Patty's Day's over. Dial it in, focus on those things. Nutrition, we talked about it. Eat whole foods, know your calories, choose a deficit, try your best to be disciplined with it. Track it if you have to, but nutrition's huge. Fitness, 4 days of strength training, 90 minutes of zone 2 cardio a week, 2 HIIT sessions a week. You should be good to go. Make sure you find that link to my actual fitness program. It'll give you everything you need to know. Lifestyle, sleep, stress management, right? Hydration, all those things. And then of course, there's some extra supplements that you could try. So look, I really hope this was helpful. I know fat loss is a huge goal. Look, if we're lean and strong and fast, we feel young, we feel sexy, we feel confident, and that all helps you just live a happier, more fulfilled life, right? So that's what fat loss is about. It's not about vanity. It's just, it feels good to look good, right? And fat loss is the way to do it. So I hoped this helped. If you haven't already, and you've found any value from this, or you think somebody would get value from it, please follow us, give us a rating, like us, share it with a friend. We got to find people because all we want to do is help people get physically, emotionally, and mentally healthier. So thank you so much for joining the Sober Strength podcast, and live deep.